Call to order the Northborough Southborough Regional School Committee open meeting of October 15th. And it is 6:31. And we have 7 members present and 2 are absent. So
Kathleen just came in.
1.
Okay, 2.
We still have 2 absent, but we have 8 present. Thank you. Okay, so first up on our agenda is the recognition of the National Merit Scholars, and I see we have quite a packed audience, so I look forward to.
Sure. So I thought you were here for just our lengthy presentation and all the policy decisions we're going to make tonight, but for real, you're here for us to celebrate your accomplishment as a National Merit Scholar. We have 2 semifinalists and commended scholars here tonight. So for everyone who's not aware, every year we recognize our students who achieve these 2 designations, and that really signifies a very high level of achievement. So a student who's a semifinalist means that they achieved in the roughly top 1% of the country's students on the PSAT, and our committed students are in the roughly top 2%. So congratulations to you all, and you've made us very proud. Additionally, we also have to certify when your names come through that you are excellent students who are in good standing, which you all are. So it gives me great pleasure to share your names with the committee, and then so when I announce your name, I'm going to give you a certificate. You can come on up and then have a seat, and then once we see everyone, we're going to take a brief break, and we have some refreshments for you all. All right. So we are going to start with one of our semifinalists is Claire Tang. Our other semifinalist is Aditya Tripathi. And our first commended scholar is Tanmay Darji. Oh, that's all right. And next, Hannah Dunleavy. Joao Vitor Ferreira. Edith Garten. Zachary Hoffnung. Arushi Kohli. Clara Lynn. Carolyn. Simon Linden. Ishan Knight. Tira Rameshi. Jackson Stiles. Jeffrey Sun. Anaga Vishak. Aaron Wu. Raymond Shu. And Kyle Yusakonis. Well, that completes all of our awardees tonight. And so I will be getting these into the hands of those fine young men and women. And at this time, I think we should take a break and have some refreshments and meet some of our committee members. Congratulations, everyone.
So this time we'll take a, do we need a 5-minute recess?
In front of books, then it
we are back again. Congratulations to our National Merit Scholars. Feel free to keep eating cupcakes and enjoying refreshments. And we're going to continue with our agenda. So next on the agenda is audience sharing, public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? Okay, so seeing none, we are going to move up, just change on the agenda, and food services update will be first, and then we'll continue. And Greg, do you want to?
So Keith will introduce.
Yeah, sure. Sean, do you mind popping up, because I got to...
Oh, I'm sorry, Keith.
No problem. Sure, that'd be great. I'll get your slides up momentarily.
All right, you're up, Keith.
Thanks. Sean, did you do library?
Yeah, ARHS library. Do you want to just send it to me and I'll just,
Yeah,
yeah,
because you were connected well, so.
sorry.
No problem. Let me get it to you. It said my signal was too weak.
You're emailing it, Keith.
Yes, I am.
Do you want me to just present? Would that be easier?
No, we got it. Well, Sean's gonna take it. It wouldn't connect. Did you get it, Sean?
Refreshing, nothing quite.
30-second delay.
Do you have it up,
That'd be
Keith, if you
comfortable.
want me to?
You got it up?
Be patient.
Oh, Greg.
Okay. So tonight I have a pleasure of introducing our Whitson's team. This is the leadership team that has started our new contract for Whitson's for the 25-26 school year. Tonight we're joined by Matt Delaney, who is our food service director that's dedicated solely to our 10 schools in the district. He's joined by Alyssa Charles. She's the district manager who is in charge of Northborough, Southborough, as well as 10 other districts in our region. And then Dennis Gomes, who is the regional vice president of operations for Whitson's. And they have a few slides they'd like to present. And I certainly want to thank them for their leadership as we've made this adjustment. And that's your tone.
Perfect timing.
Right on.
It is. So I'll turn it over to you guys for the presentation.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us tonight. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here. We'll try to keep it brief. As Keith introduced us, my name's Alyssa Charles. I'm the district manager, and I do work with a lot of districts in the region. Matt?
And I'm Matt Delaney, as Keith said. Yes, my office is here in Algonquin, and I travel to all the schools in Northborough, Southborough. I'm mostly focused here.
And I'm Dennis Gomez, Sub-Regional Vice President. And thank you very much for the time today and for the ability to give you an update. I'm going to turn it over to these guys so it's brief, but we do appreciate your partnership and look forward to a great year.
So tonight we're going to highlight Whitson's core 3 principles, which are food, family, and service. Give a quick update through each category, starting with, of course, food, which is always the most exciting one to hear about.
Right, so that's my topic. You know, I love talking about food. Here at Algonquin, we have increased the daily hot choices that are available to all students. We have a dedicated station called Coyote Grill, which features the build your own rice bowls, nachos, lots of toppings, lots of different choices, lots of combinations for the kids. Our Ruby's Grill, so hot grilled sandwiches, chicken patties, cheeseburgers, lots of different combinations with that. We've increased cold options, lots and lots of sandwiches, lots and lots of salads, smoothies every day, yogurt protein packs, and yogurt parfaits every day. In some of the pictures you'll see lots and lots of fruits and vegetables, encouraging students to take what they like, you know, with their meal. So far through September, we've increased our participation over last year's numbers, about 22 meals a day, and our average at the high school, 888, including second lunches. Total meals served here at the high school last month, 17,773.
It's a big number. We just like to highlight it because I don't think, folks think of it in that large capacity, high volume food service. When, you're an individual student getting a lunch or a parent talking to their student, but when you really hear that volume, it's just incredible what the team upstairs in the cafeteria are able to put out every single day. And I did also just want to jump in to add that those were the additional items that were added in on top of the daily rotating special, which is we call the World Market, which is a hot special that changes daily, and the variety of pizza options.
Pizzas, calzones, and so forth.
Did you want to talk about those photos?
Yeah, we just go back to the slides. Photo on the left is a backside view of the Coyote Grill station. As you see, there's lots of different toppings. There's black beans every day, rice every day, chicken and beef every day. Sometimes we even have tofu. Really nice build your own, and there's lots of cold toppings that go with those as well. That's a finished bowl in the center that one of the students is holding. And on the right-hand side, we have 3 of these tables in the cafeteria serving area filled with fruits and vegetables and choices for the kids.
So next, we'd like to talk about family. So with Whitson's, we consider all of our team family, even if they work for the school district or if they work for Whitson's, we like to think of everyone as family. So we've been working very closely with our family here in the high school kitchen, supporting them through the transition. They've, are an incredible team. They've, met us, where we need to be to make all these changes, new recipes, lots of increased choices that have really changed their day-to-day workflow more than at any other school that we've been working with in the district as a whole. So they've really stepped up to the plate to make all of this happen for your students, and we're very appreciative to them for their hard work. Gina Saso is the food service director on site here, and we've done a lot of meetings with her. She's been incredible to work with to make sure that the staff feel comfortable with the changes, and it's been sort of a intermediary between what we're putting out and then getting it out in front of the students. So we meet with her regularly, as often as needed, usually multiple times a week, to make sure that we're all on the same page as for what needs to be executed day to day. We've adapted processes as we've kind of gone along. Some things haven't worked the way we thought they would, other things have been better. So it's been a really open process as far as communication and adaptation to make sure that we're getting in the right products, that we're getting in the right volume to feed the 1,200 students here, and that we're using up product that was already on hand too. We don't want to let anything go to waste. And we've also, in addition to Matt, brought on a full-time dietitian who is also based out of Algonquin. So she's here helping us with menu development, ensuring compliance with the USDA program. And we are also hiring a field supervisor who will help support all of the schools as well as the high school too, with things like processes like HACCP, critical control points, temperature control, all that nitty-gritty stuff. And of course, support from myself and Dennis.
All right, we're going to talk about service in a little bit. Service, our big point of contact with students, families, teachers, nurses, and so forth is our FD Meal Planner. We post all of our menus on fdmealplanner.com, and within that system, students and families can find information of, hey, what's on the menu. In addition to that, they can click on any one of the menu items, see a picture of what's being served in most cases, get the nutritional equivalents or the nutritional values, and all the way down to the ingredient list of all the products that we're serving. They can do a snapshot at home. You can do a printed version for everything that's available. It's a really great way of seeing what's out there, what's coming up, as far as what's on the menu. So there's a breakfast menu and a lunch menu to choose from, and you can even do a build-a-meal where students or families can say, okay, I'm going to get the nacho station with the milk and an apple, and it'll give you the entire snapshot of what it is nutritionally as well. So those are good. Within that system, there's also a rating program, so students can go on and rate the food that they've chosen. They can give it, anywhere from 1 to 5 stars, give a little bit of feedback, whether it's, too salty, not salty enough, tastes great, it wasn't for them. So they can give that instant feedback, and we can print a report from that and kind of based on what little minor tweaks we might have to do. And we're doing informal surveys. We talk to the kids on a regular basis. Hey, how did you like that? Why did you make that choice? We want to make sure that they're doing, making great choices throughout their experience through lunch and breakfast the following day. So.
And so looking ahead to the rest of the school year, we want to continue to get feedback from the community on all items that we're serving. And we've also been working a lot with the staff and hearing from students what's been popular in years past that you haven't seen yet. We want to make sure we bring those items in. And as far as items that are new, are they popular or not, and sort of adapting that feedback into our menu going forward. We want to continue to build our relationship with the community here in Algonquin and Northborough and Southborough, continue to seek student feedback and encourage student participation in the programs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
Hi, terrific presentation, and it makes me want to eat there. And it's my understanding before Black Earth was taking all of the compost of leftover food. Is that correct and still happening?
The compost program was in place through the end of last year, and Black Earth did pick up their bins, at the end of August. So right now there is no composting program on site, whether it's in the kitchen or from student waste.
But it's something we're certainly open to, and we would collaborate with the business office to make sure if we were going to bring something like that in, that we did everything in collaboration with the district.
When you said there were 17,000 meals served, I definitely saw that, but where my environmental heart goes to is that 17,000 clamshells, non-recyclable plastic. And I'm wondering about a more sustainable model, particularly because our students have such anxiety about the state of the planet. It's part of what feeds into poor mental health. As somebody who reads from the environmental science majors what they've learned, and they're just appalled when they take that class and see these practices, how can we do better?
Sure.
Please.
So I'll just start off by saying we absolutely share the goal of reducing our environmental impact and our carbon footprint as a company. But here at Algonquin, I wouldn't say it was 17,000 clamshells. I think our cold options tend to be the least popular, and those are really the only ones that are packaged in plastic, which are the smoothies, the salads. I think as far as the products that the trays are on, they're compostable.
Yeah, reusable.
Right, they're compostable trays or reusable trays on site. We do have a dishwashing machine that is now operational.
For the trays
For
only,
the
right?
trays.
Because that had been a problem before, they were all
Right.
disposable.
So, and the disposable ones that we are using are fully compostable. So they will degrade, even if they do go into the trash stream, they will degrade very rapidly. And Black Earth, as a company, I know they've certified our trays, but they don't like the volume of those trays. They like carbon, but they don't want to have too much all stacked in together. So I think, using more and more of those washable trays is our better bet on those.
But all the small cups for, as I can see in that picture of 3, if you go back,
Oh yeah, the fruits and vegetables.
fruits
all
and
the fruits and vegetables are in small plastic cups. And that's very concerning.
Okay. Yeah, but that's absolutely something that we can work on and address.
Thank you for hearing that.
Yeah,
I
thanks.
appreciate it.
Yes, Jill.
I have 2 questions. If you could go into more detail about the world market and some of the foods that you do serve. And then my second, and what is the favorite so far? What is the hot thing here for kids? And then the second thing is, since you have a dietitian, is that person available to the students if they're a diabetic, if they are gluten-free? How do you take care of those concerns? Or are students bringing that up to you? Do you have a good visibility with the kids that they can come up and say, hey, I like to have this instead of that, something like that?
Right, Diane would be comfortable, coaching students. prefer the students go through the nurse's office to really guide them. They're getting well versed with the FD meal planner, and what those students need to know is located in the FD meal planner.
Yeah.
But we're comfortable having conversations with kids, guiding them on things. Diane, being a registered dietitian, she loves, talking nutrition with people in general. So I think she'd be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
As far as visibility, yes, we're visible. I'm usually in the cafeteria at least once a day, 10, 15 minutes, an hour, sometimes the whole lunchtime.
Yeah. And I'll say the intention of her role isn't to be meeting with students one-on-one, because we don't want to be offering like medical advice in the school environment without collaborating with the nurse and any other care team members that student might have.
Well, I was wondering if you had options that had gluten-free on it,
Yes.
or low sugar or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have students that have gotten into the habit of pre-ordering a gluten-free, like burger or a
Okay.
sandwich. We have that, ready for them on a daily basis. And that adds also variety into their diet. And for those students who are vegan and vegetarian, we have good options for them as well. You asked me what the most popular thing is here
World Market.
on World Market. I think it's the Wing Shack. Wings, we do wings like 3 different ways, several different sides. The kids really, the line just never ends when you do Wing and Wing Shack is a what we call a pop-up station. It's something we do kind of every once in a while, and we have, I think, 12 pop-up varieties that we can do. Wing Shack has been now done twice here at the high school, and literally it blows the doors off everything. Chicken patties, also popular. Mac and cheese, surprisingly popular. The line almost didn't end today, so I like it.
That's really good. Well, I think I saw your presentation at the Northborough K-8, so I know the high school is a lot different. I was just thinking, when you were saying the 17,000 meals, a lot of these kids versus the elementary, they're staying here and they're going to their sports. So you're providing them with their food, their energy, their calories that they're going to need when they go out, football, baseball, track, cross country, everything. So,
Okay.
and what?
Arts.
Arts. So thank you very much. So I can see that it's a success. When is you said the Wing Shack was only 2 days so far?
2 days, we've done Wing Shack 2 days so far.
And it's been a success.
It's been really, really good. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments?
A couple questions. You said through the FD meal planner, I think you can get feedback. Was it from
Yes,
parents
that's
and
correct.
students? Or?
Parents and students, it's a public website, so anyone who clicks on, a menu item can leave a rating whether they've eaten it or not. We would hope that people would go back in after dining, in the dining center to say, hey, that was a 5-star item. So,
Just wondering how much feedback you've been getting.
And
I've got quite a few.
And I was going to add the survey respondents who enter feedback, they have the option of leaving their name and their email address, so if they want us to follow up with them, we can.
Good.
Oftentimes they are anonymous.
Yeah.
I would say that anecdotally, kids are talking about food more than they ever have. I think our food services aspect of our operation is such an important part of the teaching and learning, our wellness program. And just want to thank Keith and Becky and Mary Ellen Duggan for the work to get to this point. I think it's been a great start. I think it has kind of revitalized our program.
A little bit.
And I think the food that kids now have access to, I think is more nutritional and I think more liked, other than the cookies. We're still hearing feedback that they really miss the cookies, but they'll have to.
If I could just add to that for a minute, I think that when we first started and discussing with Keith had his idea, which I think we're executing well, is take what we have, because you do have a great staff, you have a great base, take that and expound upon that, and building variety, bringing the nutritionals, bringing some consistency and compliance is what we're doing, and I think it's been a great success, and we're very excited. Thank you.
One other thing, I remember when we first heard about this from Keith months ago, I guess. There was talk about also providing food for like after-school activities of various sorts, and I'm just wondering if that's happening or if it's part of the plan.
Yeah, we haven't been asked as of yet to provide anything additional, but as far as any like catering or requests for our after-school programs, we'd certainly be happy to accommodate.
There's been a handful of opportunities so far, and then we're also looking into the possibility of participating in additional USDA programs for after-school type stuff. So those are things we're currently exploring. We're right still kind of in that infancy of the transition, so to say. It has been a great start. There are a couple things that we're making adjustments for, and that's one. It's on the list of things we want to do. So one of the things that Matt and I have been discussing is what type of catering menu could we offer. So whether it's a group that Sean has after school or a sports team has, and seeing how we can build that in. So it's part of a preliminary conversation now, and it wouldn't be something we had previously.
That's what
It
I'm
would be a
thinking.
new ad.
I'm thinking of the pasta nights and all these sports teams
Exactly.
have.
You got it.
All the time.
Right.
As a parent, I would welcome somebody else to come in and just.
We can help you with that.
Yeah, I think I echo Paul's comments. I don't know if you're going to be able to cut up a pasta dinner.
That may be a tough one.
We'll see. But I mean, to have an offering that you could be portable, that you probably should reach out to boosters and maybe include them, because when they're asking all the parents, when they go to these games or these arts things or whatever, they're on these buses, and it'd be really great if the food services could supply them with some sandwiches.
To-go sandwiches,
To-go sandwiches,
Yep.
as opposed to, because we're just going out to local, places, and they're probably not as healthy, and they're probably way more expensive. I'm sure you could get them. But anyways, so thank you. I told this story many, many times, but my son never ate at the cafeteria through 8th grade. In 9th grade, he goes every day, so well
It's a
done.
great story, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Did all three.
I missed one of those.
Oh, you did. Me too.
So next on our agenda is action on the minutes. And we have the correction.
Yeah, so just a couple correction from Paul Desmond. Noted that Jennifer Primack was noted as Jessica, so that's been updated. And that was including in section D, 5, approval and grants and donations, section F, 1, old business subcommittee assignments, and section E, 7, student activity and clubs, and Cheryl made the corrections.
And the corrected versions are in the packet. Okay, so at this point, I would like to, we can put these together, vote on these together?
Yeah, the second executive session minutes are to approve and retain.
So I will accept a motion to approve the action, or to open meeting minutes of September 17th, 2025 with those corrections noted, and to approve the action, to approve the executive session minutes of September 17th and to retain those.
So moved.
Second.
And we can show hands for this one, right, because there's no one vote. So all in favor? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Next up is educational policy. Approval of the first robotics team overnight field trip to the championship event in Houston.
Sure, yeah, so I've submitted a application for a proposal for a trip to Houston with our robotics team. This is a little bit aspirational. They would have to qualify for a series of, go through a series of rounds to qualify for this championship round, but it is the kind of thing that we wouldn't know until 2 weeks beforehand. So this is put in place. You might recall a few years ago, this exact group did qualify for this unexpectedly, and we had to kind of race around and get this proposal complete. So I've asked him to complete this proposal, which has my full support, and we should wish it into being. Let's hope that they will achieve the excellence that allows them to compete at this level, which is competition, the championship in Houston in April. It has my full support.
Any questions or comments?
I would just say we got a beautiful report from the young man who just was a National Merit Scholar
Mhm.
about the growth of the robotics, his role, having been a learner into a teaching role. It was really a nice conversation.
Yeah,
So
that was
well
10
done.
yeah.
Up to 60 people, I believe he said, in the group now.
Yeah, that group has grown quite a bit. We have some young mentors that have done a really wonderful job supporting Dan Strickland, who's the coach.
Comments? So at this time, I'll take a motion to approve the robotics team overnight field trip to the 2026 championship event in Houston, Texas, April 29th through May 2nd of 2026.
Second?
And any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? So that passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just have one suggestion. I know in the, several years ago, the robotic team came, and I believe into this area they
They
did
brought the robot, yeah.
presentation, so it would be nice if we have an easy agenda.
Next year, we can have them hand out the cupcakes.
I'm sure they would really enjoy that.
Multidisciplinary.
Would all 60 be going, or just a representation?
Yeah, it would not be all 60. It would, and I think of the 60, there's kind of varying levels of intensity of participation.
Go to a football game, they usually have a robot tossing T-shirts.
Yeah.
The cheerleaders don't, right?
I'm sure they'd be happy to attend and give a mini presentation.
Oh, yeah. We would love that.
Great.
Yeah.
So moving on to new business, we have the legislative update first.
So in your packet, I did include pending legislation that's moving through on various states of approval for your information. So I'm not sure if there were any questions from the information I provided in your packet.
Are you talking about the one with the budget?
No.
Oh, okay.
So there was Act to Promote Student Learning and Mental Health, which is the cell phone ban that is pending. An act requiring financial education in schools, which is mandating middle school and high schools, financial management courses and instruction. An act establishing a career to education data center around educational pathways with post-secondary outcomes. There's an act creating a commission on diversified teacher workforce, again, to diversify our teaching faculty and staff. An act ensuring equitable access to education, including special education services. This enhances accountability for special education and English language learner services. An act for full reimbursement for in-district and sped transportation. So this is something that we've not seen, something that would be helpful in terms of reimbursing for special education transportation. That's been very volatile. Becky will speak about that in a later agenda topic. And then Municipal Empowerment Act, which is around transportation, which would allow us to partner with other districts to form our own in-house bus operations. So it allows us to collaborate with Neshoba in Hopkinton and actually have an in-house transportation. So that's definitely something we're watching and advocating for. So those are the kind of legislation that's moving through at this point in time.
Any other questions? So next up, the report from the resolutions committee.
Yes, so I did in the packet include the resolutions that will be discussed at the MASC conference. There's only one new resolution, which is removal of the BMI testing from schools. So eliminate the body mass index screenings for all public schools. I had conversations with Mary Ellen, and the recommendation is to support removing this screening from public schools. In the remaining discussions that will happen at the MASC delegation are just reauthorization of expiring resolutions. And I did list support or not support based on my recommendation.
Questions, comments? Yes,
Just the one on sanctuary laws for transgender students, it says no action, so we are not asked to weigh in on this, is that correct?
Yeah, so I didn't have enough information about kind of the will of the committee, but I thought it was kind of outside the bounds of something that I didn't have an opinion.
Okay, because it comes on the heels of Fenway Health eliminating any transgender health care for children under 19. And I didn't know whether it was piggybacking on that very hot topic.
So this resolution speaks to if a Massachusetts resident seeks supportive medical care outside of the state and returns to Massachusetts, they're shielded from prosecution in other states.
So there's no action because there's,
So it's really up to the committee to decide, if that's something that it would want to support.
okay, thanks for clarifying.
Any other questions or comments? Next up is the appointment of the visiting delegate to the annual business meeting, which, do we know if anyone plans to attend MASC?
I'll be attending.
Yeah, award winner.
Yeah.
I'll be attending as well, Jennifer.
So does that mean we have to, we should select?
Identify a delegate, a voting delegate.
Do either of you have any interest in serving as the voting delegate? I guess we could start there.
I did.
You
For
do?
this time.
You also do?
And do we need, do
And
we
I
have
do.
That's fine.
And I
Give
can
us
see
some-
on the back
We do
of
need
it.
two.
we need a
You do
backup
too.
delegate,
Okay.
a supportive delegate.
I'll
Back
jump.
you up.
Back me up.
And I think when we had our session with Tracy Novak, she talked about, giving the voting delegates some flexibility,
Mhm.
because on the floor, there are amendments, so what you see here is probably not what they'll have to act on in terms of supporting or not supporting.
And do we need to vote?
You're welcome. We'll come back. The duo will come back with a good report.
Well, thank you to the two of you. So next up is sponsorship plan.
So Sean has been working on a sponsorship plan, and one of the promises that we made as we move through the athletic complex is actually thinking about upkeep and maintenance over the duration of the facility. So Sean has put together a sponsorship plan, and we'll review it briefly and answer any questions. And the goal is really to monetize the facility, to create some type of an endowment, so, in 10 to 12 years, when it's time to actually replace the turf, we have something to subsidize the overall cost of the replacement.
Sure, yeah, so our goal is to capitalize on one of our greatest strengths right now, which is the athletic complex, and to meet the responsibility we committed to the community to try to monetize the facility as responsibly as possible. So we developed this plan, which is to take some of the larger public spaces around the facility and to create some banner sizes, and you can see there the costs that we've projected, and to go out to our community and to seek sponsorships on a 3-year basis, and to see what kind of support we can get from the community for that. And we're really excited to do that. It'll probably start ramping up, if it's the will of the committee to support that, in the near future, the next month or so.
Kathleen?
When I first came on the board, I thought we had addressed this early on, that we were not looking for Coca-Cola or those type of companies that are against what we're looking to teach about nutrition and everything else. Are you looking just for local sponsors?
I think the school committee policy speaks really specifically to the kinds of
Lines to
businesses that
values.
can be
Okay.
approved. So, for example, a beer and wine establishment would not be one we would support. I think we would be hopeful to see some of our businesses in town, our banks, our real estate agents, orthodontists, pediatricians, places that really support that we send business to. I anticipate those would be the ones we might get the earliest returns on.
Okay, so it must be one remembering when we created that policy.
So the policy does
specifics.
speak to alignment with district values, core values. So there is guidance that we'll follow as Sean, thinks about accepting sponsorships, and also the school committee has a role in approving those sponsorships. So you have an oversight role in this process.
I see. Thank you for the
And
clarification.
just
Probably-
have a note, Kathleen. Cold Harbor Brewery
Mhm.
placed an ad for the football game, and their ad included alcohol in the actual verbiage,
Mm.
and the people stopped, and they wouldn't say it, but they had to say something about the actual thing. So people are very much aware of the policy. They're very much making sure that we stand for those same values. So
Okay.
I've seen it in action.
Okay.
So the point is well taken too. When we're approaching target advertisers, we would start with people who would, we would only approach ones that would qualify under the school committee policy.
Joan, you had a question?
Yeah. I'd like to thank you for the specifics on this and, the straightforwardness of this. Could this also be attached to the policy so that we have that to go with, would that, is it a sponsorship policy or is it the naming policy?
It's a sponsorship.
Sponsorship. I think it would be helpful to have that. The other question I have, and you talked about maintenance over the full term. I'm just thinking of the back of the grandstands, you have a large wind come in, a nor'easter, something like that. So if one of them is destroyed, okay, let's say they do the 3-year span and it's destroyed due to a nor'easter, wind, or something comes off, a grommet comes off, does that fee take care of the replacement of that?
I think we would have to maybe work with Keith to look at whether or not our insurance might cover that. We are working with a signage company that does do work with us and does do this exact kind of product, and keeping in mind, and they install it in such a way with the kind of, I suspect, kind of mesh kind of product that would stand up to New England winds. But I think if in the unlikely scenario or in the case that it would be damaged, which certainly could happen, I think we would work with you, Keith, to see if there's an insurance.
And some
claim
sort
to
of
be
planning as well, and working with facilities. If we
Yeah.
know we got something coming in,
Right.
we would be able to take care of them and preserve them as best as we
That's a
could.
good point.
And I
Yep.
think that's something that we made sure when we wrote the contract for this too,
It-
that they were aware that
I was gonna say
these
that.
banners may be taken down, like maybe over the winter or
Mhm.
in case of inclement weather. So it is spelled out in that contract.
Okay.
Yes. John?
Sorry, I read this a couple times. Perfect. And maybe I'm being intense. Where does the money go? What bucket is it gonna be in?
So it will go into a revolving account.
So who
and
has access to it?
it would be handled by the business office, and then it would only be able to be used for the maintenance and upkeep of the athletic facility. So when you're setting up revolving accounts for a specific item, it has to be designated or used for that specific item that you're setting it up for.
Okay. So
Yeah.
can I make a recommendation? If we decide to go ahead with this one, I'd highly encourage you to do the same thing inside of the gym and wrap a table, because you're leaving money on the table.
No pun intended, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So
we-
that
we
is
have
a-
the
opportunity.
scorer's table.
Yeah.
And every other school I go to,
Mhm.
it's wrapped with some sponsor, and it's easy money.
It is.
So I can speak to that. That's the second phase that Mike Mascherino has looked
Yep.
at and has already started to build out a plan for.
Yes.
One last question. Who will be going out to get these sponsorships?
So Director of Athletics Mike Mascherino will be sending out a mailer with a follow-up approaches to the businesses and trying to tap into our network of folks. So this will be under his purview, Mr. Mascherino.
So he'll be the one who's going to be reaching out to get the sponsorships to put on these. Okay.
I think it'll be a team effort depending on, the partnership that we're seeking, and it could be Sean, it could be Sean and his team, it
Yeah.
could be central office, it could be central office and school committee.
Is there any reason that we wouldn't also consider giving discounts to the other Northborough and Southborough youth programs? So I think it would be a very logical thing to be advertising the football program at perhaps a discount, perhaps the basketball program, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we should think about how we're bringing our Northborough and Southborough youth sports teams into the fold. Soccer, for example.
Yeah.
Is Boosters gonna be involved? I mean, at one point, they were talking about selling sponsorships.
Yeah, so this is where it all started with, you know, the boosters. So I think what's changed is we now have a facility that's going to require maintenance and upkeep, and that was part of our responsibility and promise to the taxpayers that we would do that. So this is separate from the boosters.
I'm a little wary of having our athletic director out selling sponsorships to stuff. I mean, I'm just not sure that's a recipe for success, but.
Yeah.
Whereas we could do some sort of partnership with Boosters, that might be something I can do. But
I was just gonna ask, if this is successful at about 100,000 for every 3 years, do we have an idea what the actual maintenance of the facility is projected to be?
Yeah, so we did project, it's, I think it was in the $2 million range.
A year?
No, to in 12 to 15 years to replace the turf.
Full replacement?
Yeah.
Is there not any repetitive maintenance that needs to happen?
There is, I mean,
That's stuff that we do routine, that's more the routine maintenance we do, whether it's the addition of infill that gets washed away and things like that. I know it's being raked out very frequently. With the rain that just came in, it needed to be raked to sustain. So there's routine maintenance that happen. What we want to make sure we're planful for is when that turf needs to be replaced. That's what Greg and we're focusing on with this, and that was something that was forecasted out when we had accepted the plan back many years ago.
I'm not an accountant, but I don't think that plan gets you your 12 million.
no, and it's to subsidize and offset the cost of,
Yep.
of the ask. Our intention was not to fully, you know, use sponsorships to fund the entire maintenance cycle or replacement of turf or whatever it might be. It was to offset the cost to the taxpayer. Unless this is hugely successful. No, I think we calculated that we would need about $200,000 a year in sponsorships and donations to get to our target of about $2 million.
I'm kind of with Paul on this. I think Boosters has the right people that are already set for that. Figuring out some sort of collaboration might figure out what if your goal is $200,000 a year, maybe you should go for it. I don't know that Mike has the time to do that work.
We haven't had a presentation by the Boosters since
So I
the
did speak with the Boosters
gentleman
president,
passed.
and he's planning on presenting at the November meeting. So he will be in attendance.
Are they still raising the kind of bread that they were before, 200 to 250,000 a year?
Yeah, I think they're continuing with their fundraising efforts.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I see that in this article that Sean's gonna be presenting, we're doing the Gong Patch, which is a booster program, is it not?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
The Gong Patch, isn't that a booster, the pumpkin patch?
That is the boosters,
That's
yes.
a boosters thing.
I think that how we solicit, people who are going to have signs and advertisement, we're going to have to network. We're going to have to use boosters. There's going to be a lot of people involved. It's going to be a networking effort. I think when we spoke to Shrewsbury many years ago, Paul, it was really around networking and using people who who work in the industry, who know people who will go out and have conversations and solicit people who might be interested.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm just trying to picture Mike trying to do that on top of the, 100,000 games he goes to every weekend. It's just, I don't know. I'm having a hard time picturing how that's gonna work. But
Any other comments? Do we need to vote on this, or?
So this is more of a procedure. You vote on policy. This is more of a procedure. I think a vote on the fees or the kind of the levels of sponsorships would be helpful.
Can I just make a note before we vote, or can we just make sure the minutes show where the money's going and how it's going to be used? I think it's important. It's really not in the presentation. We should be specific about that.
Yes.
So I will entertain a motion to approve the fees, the levels of fees that are presented in this sponsorship plan in our packet.
May I ask another question? Sorry.
Yeah.
If it was said, I apologize.
No, go ahead.
Maybe it's in here. The values came from where? Like, was it, how did we determine these were the right values?
So it was market research.
Market research, and Mike has reached out. He's got a deep network of fellow athletic directors who, some of them do this and some of them do not, and we access some of the ones we did, and then used online tools to help us determine using how many spectators we get in a given year. We calculated this is what we got back as a return.
Any other follow-up? So I'll entertain that same motion. Anyone?
Do we have to have the revolving account? Do you want that? Did you want that in there about the revolving account?
That's good.
Just the minutes?
I will make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? So that passes unanimously.
Thank you. And we'll report back, I think this late winter on progress. And also because this is separated from policy, the fees and the sponsorship plan can be adjusted without having to rewrite the policy.
Yes.
One last question. What would do you have a timeline of when you want to have these banners posted, or are you still in the working stages?
It's still a bit of a work in progress. I think at this point we've worked out a lot of the wrinkles that we've not had to deal with before: contracts, a payment plan, a way to accept payments, all those kind of things. The turnaround time for manufacturing banners is not high. So once we start selling banners and selling advertising and they start coming in, I think the turnaround for installation is not lengthy.
Okay, thank you.
So I think it depends on how many we sell and how quickly they sell. That would really dictate when we could be seeing them on our campus.
I'd like to thank you for taking this endeavor, because I think we had some questions through the years. And just so that it's uniform and we have a policy onto it, and, or procedures, how we're going to do that. But as questions came up tonight, we hear about the background information that through the superintendent's office, and you've been doing, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
For the comments from the members, I think here.
I think they're
Good dialogue.
very good questions, and Mr. Mascherino's worked hard so far. We'll see how it comes together. I'll share your concerns, and we'll work on that with Greg.
So next up is we have quite a few grants or donations to approve. And I guess, Sean, do you want to tell us a little bit about these donations? Or
So we can do, Stephanie can do the first two.
Okay.
And then Sean, if you'll
Sure.
take the remainder.
So the first one is the approval of the Comprehensive Health and Wellness Grant in the amount of $60,000. This is our second year receiving this grant. It's a continuation grant and is supporting our work in developing deeper understanding of the new curriculum frameworks and now revising the scope and sequence and units in our health and wellness classes and looking at our social emotional learning curriculum and supports as well. We partner with a consultant from Lighthouse Consulting that is working with districts across the state. And this grant also, the way it works is that some of the money that is awarded to the grantee districts like us helps to pay for professional development across the state. So some of this money is helping to pay for workshops that are open to PE and health teachers across the state. So that is the first grant. The second grant, the proficiency-based outcomes in world languages, is also our second year of receiving this grant. This is in collaboration with Northborough and Southborough K-8, in collaboration with the middle schools. And we are using these funds to increase our use of the Apple exam, which is the exam we use for the seal of biliteracy, but this is allowing us to also use it as a benchmark exam prior to when students would necessarily earn the seal of biliteracy. And it's helping us to look at equity of access to higher levels of language in our programming. So those are the first two grants.
Did you have a question?
So the letter, so that's K to 12?
Yes.
So the 8,000 is for the
is the high school's
81 and
portion
then-
of.
Okay.
Correct.
Any other questions about the two grants? Yes.
I just like to say thank you for doing that seal by literacy. I know from the presentation last year, there was like 17 or 18 languages in the seal by literacy that the students, some that we're not offering, but that's the language spoken at home. So they've gone on their own to even take that seal by literacy in their spoken language to their family.
Yeah, the World Language Department is doing a fantastic
They're doing a
job.
good job on that.
Yeah,
Thank
they
you.
are.
And then Sean?
Sure. So we have letters in your packet for donations in three different donations in two different target areas. One is to the Best Buddies program in memory of the mother of our Best Buddies advisor, the very wonderful Kevin Hausman, and that's in the amount of $150 from a family, Ken and Sherry Mossman. Additionally, we have a donation from Wegmans to support DECA, and that money would be used to offset the cost for district competitions, the district's competition. And then as well, we have another donation to DECA that is from an Algonquin family, the DeMulkey family, or Beth DeMulkey, from her new aesthetic medicine and wellness, that also is targeted to support our DECA program.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, so I'd like to actually separate these out into two votes, if possible, the grants and then the donations. So if I will take a motion to approve the comprehensive health and wellness grant in the amount of $60,000, and the approval of the proficiency outcomes in world language grant in the amount of $8,100.
So moved.
And all in favor? Any opposed? So that passes unanimously. And then I will accept a motion to approve the following donations. The donation to the Best Buddies program in memory of Joyce Hauserman from Ken and Sherry Mossman in the amount of $150. The approval of a donation to support Algonquin DECA from Wegmans Food Markets in the amount of $1,000. And the approval of a donation from Beth DeMulkey, apologies, of Renew Aesthetic Medicine and Wellness to the DECA program in the amount of $100.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? And that passes unanimously. And thank you to the folks who donated. Next up is the AVC transportation information.
And I'll turn it over to Becky.
So as you are aware, we are a member of the Assabet Valley Collaborative, and through the collaboratives, we have participated in a joint procurement for our special education transportation. Last year, it was awarded to Vanpool for our out-of-district transportation, and then our in-district transportation was being managed by Caps for Kids. At the end of last school year, ABC did terminate the contract with Vanpool for the out-of-district services due to billing issues, and we did go back out to bid, and the out-of-district was also awarded to Cabs for Kids. They began in this school year, and we have had quality issues and some concerns, not just our district, but among the 15 districts that make up ABC. So at this point in time, ABC has issued a letter to Cabs for Kids about their services. There have been some instances where we have had to find alternate vendors to perform services for us instead of Cabs for Kids. So that is something that we are working very closely with ABC's legal counsel on in terms of navigating this new contract with Cabs for Kids as well. So I know Helene has spent quite a bit of time working with ABC and working with other districts to try to navigate this situation. So it's just something we wanted to make the committee aware of.
Is this happening in other districts that the special ed transportation is particularly gnarly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Just financially, is this, we've budgeted for something, is this gonna kind of throw it out of whack,
Well,
or
so
some adjustments need to be made?
It's interesting because some of the routes that have gone to other vendors have actually come in lower. And we've also had to we've also been able to work with other districts to cost share on some of the routes, so.
There's also a clause in the contract with Cabs for Kids that they would pay the difference, so we had to secure our own transportation. ABC is the contract holder of those third-party. Any difference in cost that we're expending will be charged back to Cabs for Kids.
Great.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah.
While we're mentioning transportation, last month, I have, you presented on the bus routes last month and some of the things that we're still working. How are those now resolved or still in process, like the cameras and the?
Yeah, no, we've had, do you want to start, Greg? So we've had a couple of good follow-up, you sure? We've had a couple good follow-up meetings with NRT. So the stabilization of the routes is in place. We made some adjustments and they were very effective. So that was good on the nuts and bolts side. On the technology side, we have moved forward with a plan for all installations. And we are hopeful that that will be completed before the end of November, which was better than what I thought it would be a month ago. So I think we've gotten a renewed focus on that and, seeing some execution on things that were likely going to take longer. So we did position ourselves in a good spot. And I had a favorable meeting with them this morning that those pieces are on target. Direct and favorable meeting, should we say.
Good.
Welcome.
Next up is the superintendent's report to the committee.
And I'll turn it over to Madison.
Well, good evening, and Madison has a much more attractive presentation aesthetically than what I have going. So Madison, you can steer from there if you like.
Good evening, everybody. To start, an update on the Student Advisory Committee. We are currently in the midst of holding elections for our 3 open positions right now. And once those positions will be filled, we will fine-tune and gather more concrete polling and data from the student body once we have all 5 voices to contribute to that. And then what's happening in Algonquin, a lot is starting to pick up. So next Friday is the Gold Rush game for seniors, and so there is a Senior Spirit Week leading up to that. Tonight actually was the Senior Sunset with s'mores and tie-dye. The Sachem Haunted Coffee House is happening tomorrow night. This is an event where student performers and really anyone who wants to show off a talent or do a performance can go, and that supports Sachem, which I can talk about later. The Algonquin athletic teams are holding fundraisers for pumpkins at the Gonk Patch. The AWC is hosting a variety of events. One of the more recent ones is a college essay brainstorming night geared towards seniors to stop and fight procrastination against that college process. The Music Trips fundraiser is starting. I think it ends October 17th, this Friday. So that's raising money to support individual students' experience going to the Philadelphia trip. Student Council is planning a lot for the coming months. That includes the costume contest for Halloween, pep rally, the dodgeball tournament, spirit weeks, and winter ball, which has had a change of locations from the DCU Center to the Sheraton Hotel, I believe. So students are excited about that. Another thing that I didn't include on here, but it's happening soon, is homecoming. The juniors have called it GlowCo, and it's more of a casual, sort of glow-in-the-dark neon event. And then finally was the Titan Games, which was very fun to witness. And then as a club spotlight is Sachem. I mentioned it previously with our coffee house. But the Sachem is a literary art magazine, and it publishes annually showcasing student work, so any student can submit poems, short stories, artistic works, or photographs to the magazine. It works similar to Harbinger in the fact that it's student-run, and they host fundraising events such as the Coffee House to gain support for its publication. And for the spring of 2025 issue, Sachem actually won the top prize in their category at the New England Scholastic Press Association, which was a very big accomplishment for them. And at the bottom, these photos, American Gothic was the theme for last year, and this year's theme is Slice of Life Bakery.
Thank you, Madison. Well done. We'll be tapping into Madison's expertise as I present information from my report, so we'll be returning to her in a little bit. All right. So thank you and good evening, everyone. Tonight, so this is a photo actually from earlier tonight. We are having a s'mores night out on the Rotunda patio, the Rotunda area out in the front of the building. That's our senior class. They're doing s'mores and tie-dyes just as you were indicating. So this is just a few hours ago. So tonight I'm going to be presenting a proposal for a shift in our graduation requirements. And so before I do that, I wanted to kind of frame up and talk a little bit about how we make big decisions and even small decisions. We do so by referring back to our Portrait of a Graduate, which is our real kind of North Star for what we're trying to accomplish in our school. And so doing that, I think, reinforces our commitment to being a school that is committed to continuous improvement while simultaneously relying heavily on the things that we know work really well. So kind of achieving that balance is really important. I'm confident that the graduation requirement change I'm about to discuss does strike that balance. I think it's the right time to make a shift to ensure that our students are meeting what we've articulated as a community, as a school community, as the portrait of the graduates we'd like to turn out. And I think that changing the graduation requirements, which I'll outline in a moment, will do a better job of delivering students to the end of their careers with us, maximally skilled and with the content knowledge to have the features that are outlined in this, and specifically critical and creative thinkers, communicators, and healthy and balanced are the three domains I think that these changes I'm about to outline will probably shift us to even closer, shift us even farther to producing students that leave us with these content knowledge and skills. So just by way of reminder or outlining for you, our current graduation requirements are listed here. So credits there, you can see a 5.0 credit is a full year course, a 2.5 credit is a half year course. So if you just kind of convert in your brain that's what that means there. So in English, each student is required to take 4 classes over the course of 4 years. Social studies, it's 3 classes, which is 15 credits. Math is 3 classes. Digital literacy or exploring computer science is 2.5 credits. Science is 3 classes. Fine and performing arts is a half a year. Economics is a half a year. Health and fitness is 10 credits, which is basically 2 years distributed in half-year increments over the course of 4 years. And then the remainder of the 110 credit minimum a student needs to achieve is comprised of the electives total you see there, which is 27 and a half. The strengths of our graduation requirements, the ones that you have in front of you that I just talked through, are nearly entirely the same ones we've had for more than 25 years. It's a little bit hard to see how far back it goes. It certainly precedes my time even as a teacher here. You might recall, we made a nominal shift through the school committee 2 years ago to give students a little bit more choice in the exploring computer science and digital literacy. But I'm back here today to say we need an even greater change. That change had some good intended outcomes, but I think we've seen those outcomes, and I think it's time to even create more. So the strengths of our current graduation requirements are that all of our students as freshmen take a digital literacy class or exploring computer science, and that equips them with skills that is kind of uncommon in schools around here or in the Commonwealth that I'm familiar with, where students all have this like singular set of expectations and content knowledge and skills as they're in their freshman year. So that's a real strength. Additionally, because we don't have a lot of requirements that most schools have in their 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years for a 4th year of math and 2 years of world languages, it gives more opportunity for students to take electives, just a wider range of electives in those years. But at the same time, most students do choose to take 4 years of math and 2 years of world language. So the number of students who access that as a strength is not a high number. The weaknesses of our current graduation requirements are that it really binds up our students' schedules. So in their freshman year, it creates an impact that all students suddenly have a schedule that does not have a lot of room to add electives in and to have an experience where they're using a lot of agency to choose classes they want to take. On to the second bullet, that is especially true and even exacerbated for students who have required services like students who are on an IEP and have a full year learning center block that takes up all space in their schedule. So there's very little room to maneuver when you also add in a digital literacy requirement or exploring computer science. Same is true for a student with many students with 504s and nearly all students who receive ELL services. And then finally, we are currently not aligned with what's called MassCore, which is a state recommended, heavily recommended coursework framework for courses that colleges and industry professionals in the workforce have indicated will maximally align or prepare our students for success after school. And the change I'm going to outline now would draw us into alignment with that. So the proposal I have here in front of you is on the right-hand side. The left-hand side is the requirements I just outlined. The right-hand side, and in italics, it shows you the proposal I'm making, which is to take math, the math requirement and go from 3 years to 4 years, to take the world languages and establish it as a requirement. Currently, there is none. No student is required to take a world language currently. And to add a half a year of fine and performing arts, and to, as we are considering that, the only real way to heighten the bar and to raise the bar to have these things be true is to give students the wiggle room that would be afforded by removing digital literacy and exploring computer science as a graduation requirement. On the bottom of each column, you'll see that the electives total is 27.5 currently and is 12.5 after this change. I tried to articulate that in this green box at the bottom. In effect, those are almost the same number, and the reason why that is because in our current graduation requirements, we count a 4th year of math, which 90% of our kids take, as an elective into that 27.5. So, and we count 2 years of world languages into that 27.5. So for 90% of our students, that bottom bullet for electives is effectively no change, but I did want to name it. All students need to achieve 110 credits to graduate. That's the minimum. Most students take enough classes to achieve 130 to 135 credits. So that bottom bullet for electives is almost like the total remaining after students have already met their other obligations. So a little bit about MassCore. So doing the changes that I'm proposing, if we were to adopt these changes that I'm proposing, it would align us with MassCore, and that's a framework that was published or proposed by the state of Massachusetts in 2007. So it's been in place for a very long time, and roughly half of the schools in the state are aligned with MassCore, and I'm guessing most of the people at this table took a very much MassCore aligned kind of course of study in their high school, and that would be 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, 2 years of a world language, and 1 full year of art. So you can see the asterisk there denotes where we are deficient currently, that we are not requiring not all of these things. Some of them we are, some of them we are not. And as a result, our completion rate for MassCore, which is published by the state, is about half of what the state accomplishes for MassCore. I will make a statement that does not mean that we are a substandard school. What our students are doing in the spaces that make us deficient for MassCore are taking lots of other electives that simply do not contribute to a series of classes that comprise the MassCore requirements. So, for example, you might have a student who takes 1/2 a year of art, but 5 electives in the business program and emerges from our school with a real strength in business, but does not achieve MassCore along the way. It does not mean they had a deficient experience. It just means that they didn't meet the standard that the state advises as highly recommended. So that is something that would be a result of making this change. We would become MassCore aligned. Becoming MassCore aligned would open us up to receiving grant funding for different programs that are supported by the state and incentivized by the state. The state uses this as an incentive to align to MassCore. So the proposed graduation requirements, the things that our stakeholders have shared with me as areas of concern. So I've shared versions of this presentation or versions of this conversation with a variety of groups. Just yesterday, Madison, who's on our school council, heard me talk through this, and our department leaders and I have been talking through this quite a bit. The APTO and I have talked about this. One of the areas that we need to really keep an eye on if this proposal goes through is that we are increasing the rigor, and that is the goal here. By increasing the rigor, we run the risk of making our academic program less accessible to students who might struggle. And so it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we are matching that increased rigor with increased supports. So I'll be working and have already been working with the special education department to identify how we are going to help students get across the bar and meet these increased graduation requirements. I failed to mention or remind you, it was in the memo, but this proposal I'm proposing would be take effect for next year's incoming class of freshmen. So that is the graduating class of 2030. So that means we would have 4 years or 3 years to be sure that they are prepared for that 4th year of math. So this is not an overnight change. This is a gradual change that we need to be prepared for, and that 90% of our students are already meeting. Another area we just need to keep an eye on and to think about and be really mindful and planful about is that by removing digital literacy and exploring computer science as required, we need to make sure that we're reinforcing those skills and that those skills and content knowledge are showing up in other places. We are highly confident that's already happening, that students are doing this kind of work in other areas of the building, but we want to make sure that we are not just pulling this out and not being attentive to the fact that it might leave a gap or a lapse somewhere in behind it being removed. There is a bit of a possibility that for the 10% of students who are not currently meeting the graduation standards outlined in the core academics that I just talked through, those students do fill their schedule with other electives, and now that won't be quite so true. So for that 10% of students who are not taking a 4th year of math, or not taking 2 years of a foreign language, they will now, and so this, in a reality where an older sibling had a certain course of study that we have now, and their younger sibling is having this, that younger sibling might have taken more core academics than their older sibling, and that's just the reality, really kind of the goal, but it is a reality for some kids that I might feel like a loss. I'm really excited about the opportunities it would present. I think probably the top line item is that our diploma simply will signify a higher level of achievement and a higher level of rigor than it currently does. And that is something that, again, 90% of our students are already achieving, but it will force us to attend to the needs of the other 10% and have them get across the bar as well. A major outcome that I'm excited about too is that currently we are having all 300 of our freshmen are required to take a one-size-fits-all or two-sizes-fits-all class, either digital literacy or exploring computer science. Currently, and as a result of this, they would have wide-ranging ability to enroll in any one of a number of classes, many of them being hands-on. So that could be wood shop, it could be video production, it could be ceramics, business fundamentals, drawing and painting, journalism, it could be just about anything. So you're swapping out that class for something else that would be an area of high interest. Making this shift would make us eligible for some DESE programs and grants that we are currently not eligible for. We talked about that earlier. And then something I'm excited about is it will create a great, almost an open market for electives, and that will, by just the outcome we anticipate, is that teachers will generate ideas for new electives because the marketplace for electives will have just gotten more competitive. So you have 300 new clients effectively shopping for courses that some of them already exist and some of them we're looking to develop. So we anticipate we'll see more innovation and more diversity in the electives program than currently exists. And I will share, what I've shared before to this group is we have a really wonderful electives program, and I think this will be like rocket fuel for what is already a really wonderful program. And then just a little bit of a side note, digital literacy and exploring computer science still exist. It still will exist. It's not going anywhere. It simply will be an elective. So if you have a student who could benefit from what is being provided in digital literacy, which is a lot, that will still be an option for students. Same with exploring computer science. So I didn't create this slide, but I think you can figure out who did. So Madison had gathered some thoughts from her peers. So do you want to talk through what students are thinking about this change?
So looking at the digital literacy and computer science requirement, a lot of students thought that this course was redundant with skills that they already know or learn in other courses through just like projects in other courses or assignments or activities such as that. With the added requirement of an art, students don't mind this at all because it's basically just replacing one requirement with another one that is much more of a fun requirement and it's more hands-on and it's more of like a creative break throughout the day. Looking specifically at like business-centered students because their schedule is so focused on business courses and electives, they don't mind the change either because of what I had said previously. It's basically replacing one requirement with another one that is more fun. And then looking at the graduation requirements as a whole and increasing the rigor, a lot of students, especially juniors and seniors, choose their courses for the next year based on what colleges want them to choose if they choose to attend a college after high school. And so the idea of 4 years of a math or 2 or more years of a world language are requirements that a lot of colleges have, and so they don't mind having that increased rigor because that's what they were already planning to take anyway.
Thank you, Madison. And so that, I know that was a lot, and so I'll open it up to any questions or thoughts.
Thank you. I'm a big fan, so go for it. But I think I heard you say something that it's like a clarification. You said that if a student now, today, an Algonquin student meets the requirements, is their diploma different than another student that did not meet it?
No.
So it has to be the entire school. It can't be the individual that just met the requirements.
So I think that's a yes and. So a school's graduation requirements can make the school itself, the graduation requirements for the whole school can be Mass Core compliant, and I think that's what you're referring to. What also can be true is a student who goes to a school like ours that doesn't have Mass Core as a requirement can achieve all those same classes that would themselves be a student who meets those standards, but there's nothing different about their diploma. Or diploma is issued locally, but the state does track how each child, whether or not each child has achieved Math Core or not. But there's nothing different about their diploma that they receive on the day of graduation.
I see. Thank you.
If that makes sense. It's more of that how it's tracked and reported by Destiny.
Thank you.
Yes.
I had a question about that part. In one part of the presentation, it said about 45% of the students hit that requirement.
Mhm.
But then you were also mentioning that mostly 90% of the students would already be achieving the.
Oh, that's a good question, yeah.
So I'm not sure how that.
Sure, I think I probably misspoke. So 90% of our students meet the math requirement and 90% meet the world languages requirement. And roughly, I'm gonna guess 40 to 45% meet the arts requirement, and that's where that massive fall off comes. And most of those students take a wide range of really rich other electives effectively. So you're correct to have caught that discrepancy.
One other question then. So if the act requiring financial education in schools goes through, would the 2.5 credits that are in the requirement for economics, would that meet that, or would that have to be revisited later if that passes?
We're watching that closely. I'm not facile enough on that. I have to be mindful about that as that comes through.
I saw your hand, Matt. Go ahead.
So, since you didn't mention it as a consideration, but you said you talked to department chairs, so like how, say math department, as an example, like now, they'll have an additional 10% of classes or some number. Is every department prepared to handle the additional course load, or even where maybe you might see some decline in course loads balancing?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's one we're watching closely. So for math, we would have several years to see that kind of come to fruition because this would be for the incoming freshmen and it would be a 4-year requirement. So it wouldn't be till that 4th year in the year 2029, 2030 when we're really sure that we would know by that time about whether or not the enrollments are shifted at all. And again, it would be in a class of 300 if 9 to 10% are not meeting that 4th year. You're talking about roughly 30 students, which is 2 sections. So we would have to be planning for that in the year leading up to 2029, 2030 for math alone. We do anticipate the students who are currently enrolled in digital literacy and computer science, that those are all housed in applied arts and that those students will flood out into other places and that will draw down on some of our enrollments in applied arts. So that's where we're going to have to be really watching closely the enrollments as they come in to see where our staffing allocations need to either stay where they are or be shifted to other places in other departments. Does that make sense? It's the same number of students still in the building with the same number of FTE teachers if the budget stays roughly the same. So we have enough teachers to teach the same number of kids. Where the students choose to take their electives will help to dictate where we choose to put the teachers.
Go ahead.
I have a question on the Mass Core alignment. Down at the bottom, it said completion rates, and the state had a higher average than us. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. So roughly 50% of the schools in the state as a baseline graduation requirement are already Mass Core compliant. So that means except for the students who don't meet graduation in their hometowns, roughly 50% of our students in the state are already meeting graduation requirements in Mass Core. The remainder are students who just do that by the nature of choosing a series of courses that are Mass Core aligned. So that gets you from 50% to 83%. In our school, less than 50% of our students take a full year of art. And so keep in mind that's one of the requirements. So whatever your number of students who take a less than full year of art, that will be your ceiling for your Mass Core compliance for your students in your school. And for us, I don't know what that exact rate is. I suspect it's 43%, which is what you have here.
I think that's a great idea about having that art class to be required. I think that, just as you were saying, is that studies say that there's different functions of the brain, different things, that you have the creative, and the thinking, logic, and everything like that. I think it's great to have the kids do that and to introduce themselves to it. I remember in college I had to take intro to art, and I was like, but I know my artist today. You know what I mean? I know my famous one, so that does help. I liked the idea that first I said, oh my gosh, how are we going to do the staffing? Because I thought this was going to be 4 years. But you just have the incoming freshmen for the 26, 27 doing that, and it comes in gradual, right?
Mhm.
So then you'll go up. So I wanted to know, on this one that was proposed graduation requirements, you mentioned that one of the benefits is the eligibility for the DESE grants and programs. Even though we're only doing it gradually, and we're only having the freshmen next year doing this, would we be eligible for those grants because we're instituting the program? Or would we have to wait 4 years to get the grants?
I don't know the answer to that. It's a really nuanced question. I'm not
I
that
think the
familiar.
question in the grants is, are you Mass Core aligned? So it's more of a yes or no.
Yeah.
So I think we would be eligible, and I think that's an important point. One of the reasons to be aligned is to be able to pursue the work around innovation. We do have innovative pathways now, whether it's the business concentration. The grants that DESE offers allow us to explore other pathways for students and have other programs for students. So Sean is working with Michelle Kalin, and as part of our bigger picture of where we think we need to head as a high school.
So thank you. And thank you also for the great graphics. Love it. Thank you. Keeps us awake.
I had a question. Anytime, I appreciate that increased rigor is going to be challenging for some. I think, again, to not talk about this within the mental health survey and the results, we're not on the backside of the curve. It still seems like we're going up and up. So increasing rigor gives me great pause. I think it's wonderful as well to have the arts included. That gives and requires people to take a meaningful break that does engage one's creativity and one's executive functioning. But I'm very concerned about any more stress on these young folk until we get some sort of traction in that direction, and I'm not clear that we're there yet. Mic drop.
Yes.
Thank you. Question for you. So the teachers participated in this decision?
The department heads.
The reason why I'm asking is having students having a choice and potentially requesting or looking for new courses is going to create a demand on the teachers, and they'll have to create new courses. So are they up for the challenge? Because that's going to require work for them to create new courses.
Yeah, so I have a working group that's been meeting in anticipation of this proposal, and on that group are the department heads from each of the departments impacted, including the applied arts, where this would be the most seismic shift, and they're developing ideas for new courses already, which is November, December is when we start to produce those courses and get feedback from students on that. So this will not come as a surprise for teachers. They're already thinking about that in an effort to put together a program of studies that is maximally attractive to draw and attract the most amount of students.
Okay.
And sorry, just to add on, we anticipate soon to do a survey of students to get feedback on what kinds of courses they enjoy currently, what kind of courses we're not offering that they like to see, just do some data gathering, because by the time we do course enrollments, it's probably too late to get that information and then go backwards and create some courses. So we need to get that information in kind of a non-binding way from students so that we can deliver that back to teachers so that they know what kids are looking for.
My question is just around the world languages. It seems like that's a whole new component that's in there. But you said, I think, so 90% of the students are already taking 2 years? Okay. So it's not going to create more demand in that that department.
Okay.
The wrinkle we anticipate there, which Mass Core Line schools already are navigating, and in my former school we did, is students who might have a specific language-based disability, then now taking a world language might be really scary or really challenging, and we have the ability to waive them out of that requirement. We always have that as an option.
And I will say that Emily Squires, as the chair of that department, has been talking with, first of all, the department's very excited about it. And I think the work we've been doing with that grant that was approved there, I think it's a real boost that's supporting the work we're doing. But Emily has already been sitting with Student Support Services and talking about this shift and some of the shifts that are happening in the department around proficiency-based world language education really create greater accessibility for all kids. It is less about memorization and grammar rules and more about language use and acquisition and expression. And I think that some of the Student Support Services folks who were initially, really concerned about the impact of those 2 years of world language felt a lot better having had those conversations and thinking about sort of the focus of that department. So that I think is an important part of the picture as well.
And just to indicate, I reached out to my principal colleagues to see what their graduation requirements are for world languages, and of the 26 schools that responded, 25 have a 2-year graduation requirement. One other does not have a 2-year requirement or have any requirement at all, and one of those 25 has a 3-year requirement. So we're us and one other school, and then 25 others are right here where I'm suggesting we go by building out this as a requirement.
Just a comment. I mean, I think this is a good idea. And Kathleen, I hear what you're saying about rigor, but I mean, to me, this reflects reality in that, you need more math. I mean, think about AI. Fundamentally, it's math. And, world languages, we could all use, proficiency in world languages, I think. And the rigor, I think, is offset by the fact that, you don't have to take that computer science course, and you can replace it with something that you like. As Madison said, it's, the net effect, I think, very well could be that kids enjoy school more.
One of the outcomes we anticipate is that we see a big drop-off from students from 8th grade to 9th grade in our large ensemble music programs because they have very little room to have a full year course, and those are full year courses because a student with a disability just does not have room to take, band now, and that's 18% of our students who fit that category, and now that would be open to them. So we anticipate, and those are classes that have capacity. We don't have to add staff. They teach in big rooms. They like to teach huge numbers of kids. So adding 5 or 10 more students to those courses, which is what we anticipate, is going to be healthier for that class already and good for those students as a replacement for a class they otherwise would be taking on about digital literacy and digital footprint and the history of computing and spreadsheets and things.
And I'll just comment on your comment about rigor. And I don't think rigor is the right word we should be using. It should really be about outcomes-based. Like, how are we ensuring that students are leaving the high school with the knowledge and skills they need to be successful? So, for example, when we think about financial literacy, that could be an option as a math class in a senior year, accounting as a 4-year math. We could look at American Sign Language. There's a lot of creativity that we could think about, really thinking about the outcomes we want students to have, not necessarily making it more rigorous in the sense that it's really what knowledge and skills we want kids to leave Algonquin knowing and having.
Are you suggesting ASL would be a world language?
Potentially.
That's groovy.
And it's a bit of a detail I didn't include in here, but the 4th year of math that requirement can be met by 1 year of computer science. So a student could conceivably take 3 years of conventional math and a 4th year of computer science, and that would count for the 4th year of math under Mass Core requirements. So what I have here in our presentation is the change I'm proposing, but that would include that to meet MassCore as well. There's some flexibility there.
I just have a quick comment or ask. So one of the presentations that has always stood out to me is the applied arts presentation, and I'm just wondering if it's possible when we have presentations like that here to have at least one slide or like a few bullet points about how potentially these programs will be impacted by this shift.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, well, thank you very much. Next up is the enrollments.
So in your packet is the enrollment data. And just a note that this enrollment data will be used for the October 1, which is our foundation enrollment for state educational aid for our district for FY 27.
Jen, do we need to approve that? The graduation requirements?
It's in December.
We're coming back to it? I'm sorry.
I don't know, do we?
It's up to the committee if the committee feels it's ready to approve the graduation requirements. If not, we can bring it back to next month.
So I guess maybe, Sean, I can ask you, do you feel like you'd like us to approve it now, or would you like some time to make potential changes?
I think if there's more information you need from me, I can provide it. I feel like my school community, including teachers and students, are ready to hear whether or not this is where we'd like to go, and I will share with you if the timeline for developing new courses does start soon. So my preference would be, unless it's asking you to make a vote that you're not comfortable or don't have enough information to vote on, that would be my preference.
So I'll ask committee members, is there anyone who would like more information, or if people feel like they'd like to vote? No one need, okay, so I think we can vote on that today. So I will entertain a motion to approve the new graduation requirements as presented in our packet.
So move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so that is, we have 7 in favor, 1 opposed. Okay, thank you. So that passes. So again, next up is continue.
So enrollments, so in your packet, and again, October 1 enrollments are used for the foundation budget for FY 27 for state educational aid, so that number is fixed. Also in your packet is the FY 27 draft capital plan. So capital subcommittee met on October 6th and reviewed a draft that Keith and Mike Gorman and the team organized. We took the feedback from that meeting and created another draft, which is in your packet this evening for review. It's not essential that it's approved this evening. The goal is to have it approved at the November meeting. But happy to answer any questions. Keith is happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Paul.
It looks like the security system upgrade went down quite a bit. I think that was over 2 million. We saw it last.
Yeah, so it was spread out over 5 years. It was 350,000 spread out over a 5-year period. So our proposal is to, in FY 28, to have a $1.25 million investment for security upgrades here at Algonquin. And that reinvestment will need to take place over a period of time. And again, in 6 years, there'd be another $1.2 million investment that we'd have to make to keep our security systems modern. I think the thinking was, rather than going every year to the communities and assessing $350,000, to have a larger amount to bond. Just makes it easy for us to implement. It allows us to implement a security system that is modern, rather than delaying it year over year to get to where we need to be.
What does the security system include?
So it would be anything from intrusion control, card access, security cameras,
Okay.
and other technology.
So we do have cameras
We have,
in the building, out of the building?
we have cameras in the building and out of the building.
Any other questions? Would you like us to vote on this month, or should we wait?
I think we
for-
should have another subcommittee meeting.
So we will vote on that next meeting.
And then next, we have the revote of the FY '26 budget, and then the memo, FY '26 budget line items, then monthly general fund expenditure report, and statement of revenue. I'll turn it over to Becky.
So when we had planned our fiscal year '26 budget and the member town assessments, we were using the Chapter 70 figures that were proposed in Governor Healy's initial budget request in January of 2025. I did include in your packet the actual member assessments that were voted on by the committee back in March 19th of 2025, just so that you could see what those amounts were for each of the two towns. When the fiscal year '26 budget was finalized and then signed by the governor in July, what happened was the Chapter 70 state minimum aid figure increased from $75 per student to $150 per student. And so that change actually resulted in us receiving $92,100 more than what we had originally planned for Chapter 70 aid. On September 9th, DESE did release the memo that I shared with each of you to offer guidance to regional school districts for how to proceed with this change in Chapter 70. And they outlined 3 options that are available to us. So the first scenario is that the committee could propose, and that would be by a 2/3 vote of the full committee, an amendment to increase the FY '26 budget by the $92,100. That would result in our budget being $29,690,194. While this would increase our budget, it would not have any impact to the 2 member towns' assessments, because we would be fully using that Chapter 70 amount to make up that difference in our budget. What would then happen is, if the committee approved that, our treasurer would issue a notice to the 2 towns, and the towns would then have 45 days to act upon that change. They could call a special town meeting to either approve or disapprove that budget, or if they chose to do nothing, it would then go into effect after 45 days had passed. The second option that the committee could propose, and this is something that we have done in the past, is we could revise our revenues to reflect the additional Chapter 70 amount, which would then change the assessments that we would be providing to our 2 communities. It would result in a decrease of $56,172 to Northborough and $35,928 to Southborough. If we were to do this scenario, it would not require any action on the part of the towns. There's also a third scenario where we could do a combination of both of those 2 scenarios, where we could revise our budget and we could revise our revenues. If we were to do that, then we would still have to notify the 2 communities of the change in our budget amount, as well as a change to their assessment, and they would still have to follow that same scenario in scenario 1, where they could either approve or disapprove of that budget increase within 45 days. I would propose to the committee that we follow scenario number 1, where we would increase the FY '26 operational budget by that amount. I have prepared for you, and I did provide what those numbers would look like, and showing that there would be no change to the 2 member communities in terms of their assessments and what was approved at the annual town meetings. And I would allocate those funds where I would transfer $41,743 to our school choice charter school function code, because we are anticipating that that is going to be over budget due to some new enrollment numbers that we received. And then the remainder I would apply towards the heating function code, because that is also anticipated to be over budget for this year. So I welcome any questions about this process and about the assessment impact.
Any questions, comments? Anyone have thoughts that are different than option one? Either option 2 or 3? Yeah.
I like option 1, but I'm wondering about how we allocate the funds. I mean, what you said, 41K to a school choice charter fund that's underfunded currently?
Yes.
And the rest to E&D, was it?
It would be to actually our heating line item.
Heating?
Heating, yes.
Okay. It just struck me that that figure, the 91 something, was very similar to the one that we cut 2 items that added up to just about that amount last year. But so it was the communications person and
Innovation.
Innovation Fund, right. It's would have been nice to fund those, but I guess we need heat.
Joan, you had a question?
Could you just explain what if we approve option 1 tonight, what is the process to notify the towns? You talked about something about a town meeting.
So we would draft a letter that would be sent by Joe Michael back, our treasurer, to both communities, letting them know of the vote that was taken tonight. The communities would then have the decision whether or not they wish to call a special town meeting to approve their revised budget. It's not required that they hold a special town meeting, only, I would imagine, if they wish to not approve that increase in our operational budget, would they hold a special town meeting. I would say that since these assessments have already been approved by both communities, and that is something that they are prepared for, that it would be my guess that they would probably not take any action, and it would automatically be approved after 45 days. I have had preliminary conversations with the financial directors in both towns, just to give them a heads up about this as well.
That was going to be my follow-up, if they've been aware of what is looming. So would it have to be by the select board that would decide on it, or is it the financial, like we have financial planning and we have appropriations?
Select boards are normally the ones that would call special town meetings, so it would, I would say, ultimately fall to the select board to make that decision.
Okay.
The rationale for the recommendation number 1 is that it was minimum student aid, so the purpose was for education. And that was the $75 to $150. So it doesn't make sense to have that money go back to the towns when the intent of that money was to fund our operation.
Okay. And I'd like to thank you for giving heads up, so it's not like, oh, we take a vote and guess what? Now you have to decide what you want to do. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, so this would so I suggest that I might need some help with this motion, but I'll try this. I will entertain a motion to approve option 1 as presented in the packet to an amendment to increase fiscal year 26 budget by the additional minimum aid amount of, I'll leave it at that.
Make a suggestion?
Yeah.
So there were revised assessments in the packet. Perhaps if we voted on the revised assessment and the revised operational budget amount that was provided on that sheet.
To do that first.
That would, I think, satisfy both of those
I'm sorry, I'm just confused. Why is the assessment revised?
You could just revote, so it's revote
94.
194.
To Sean's question, is it because you floated through, but you arrived at the same amount of assessment each town?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not really a new assessment number, it's just because of the budget, it's a new assessment sheet, so.
Oh, okay.
Can I ask that you state the motion and then?
Actually, now thinking about it, I think what Greg said is probably the best, that we revote the FY '26 budget to be $29,690,194.
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, any opposed? So that passes unanimously. And then we vote on option 1, correct?
I think you're good.
I'm good, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
This was a confusing one.
Yes. It's a good problem to
Okay, so next up,
have.
The monthly general fund report, so, and the budget transfers, yes. So the packeting that you have in front of you is as of September 30th. So we've actually completed the first quarter in fiscal year 2026. You can see that we have a healthy balance right now of $1.3 million, or 4.54% of the total operational budget. I will say that we have done more work since this to make sure that more of the anticipated expenses have been encumbered. On the report that you have, I did notice that our Medicare is not fully encumbered, and neither is actually the school choice and the charter school that you just voted on tonight. So that is something that we have been working on. There are 2 new line items that are showing as overexpended, and that would be fiscal audit, and that was due to our biannual OPEB trust audit that is required. And so I have anticipated or planned to take those funds from our health insurance line, which does have a balance at this point in time. And then our department heads is over by $416, and that was due to a travel stipend change for one of our staff members. So I would request that the school committee vote to accept the monthly general fund report until audited, and to vote to approve the function codes that are listed above as overexpended.
okay, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Anyone second?
Second.
Seconded by, I'll say Sean.
I didn't even.
No?
It was Paul. I
Oh,
didn't
it's
even
Paul.
open my
Okay,
mouth.
sorry. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously.
And one thing I do just want to point out is that we have the auditors coming in next week, so whenever we say until audited, that's going to be happening next
real.
week, so. And then just to talk about the statement of revenue, really not a lot going on in September. I'd say, we're seeing the regular income in terms of Chapter 70 and charter school. I did look at our investment income, because you can see that we received about $13,500 this month on that, and we are down about $6,000 as compared to last year at this time. So I think that we're seeing that as a result of some of the changes with interest rates. We also received athletic fees and parking fees. So the athletic fees would be not just the athletic fees themselves, but also the gate receipts. And then parking fees are for, I guess, those people that did not pay in the spring for the full year. The other thing I want to point out on that report is down at the bottom, is that our E&D was certified as of September 15th. We do have a balance of $1,066,698. That represents 3.41%, sorry, I'm losing my voice, which is right within the school committee policy. So again, Sunny Cox did a great job in terms of getting all of our required balance sheets to DOR, and we were certified very quickly.
Any questions or comments? Thank you.
I think we usually vote on that too.
What's that?
We vote on that as well.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 2026 statement of revenues presented in our packet.
So, second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
So the FY '27 budget priorities, so the operational budget subcommittee met also on October 6th and reviewed the budget priorities. And you'll note that we've redlined the document so you can see the changes. And again, the goal is to have the budget priorities approved by November. And these kind of serve as a beacon or priorities in terms of our internal budget process. And I'll turn it over to members of the operational budget subcommittee.
I will share that the way the discussion went, the way I perceive the discussion is if we all recall that last year, the budget process was very challenged, and Paul has already pointed out that some of the line items that we were interested in as a committee were unable to be funded for the reasons I think we all recall. So what we had spoken about during the meeting, maintaining priority items that we had in the prior year budget and really trying to find a pathway to provide funds to give teachers and the administration or Sean an opportunity to create innovation within the school. That's a priority, and I continue to personally be interested in the communication role, just because as it continues to be a challenging environment financially, I think there's more of a reason for us to be communicating all the benefits that the districts collectively are providing to the community, so that we continue to get the support for education that has made Southborough and Northborough the towns that they are. Anyone else wants to add anything?
Well said.
Thank you.
And also in your packet is the FY '27 budget calendar. So Cheryl is modifying and adding to the calendar as we progress through the weeks and months. And that is the superintendent's report to the committee.
Thank you. So next up is is old business, and we have a discussion of the subcommittee and liaison assignment. So we are looking, a member is stepping down from the budget committee and the capital planning committee. So we need two members to, those are important committees, obviously, and we're kind of in the middle of the process. So we are looking for someone who would be interested in taking those two spots, or one and one. I saw your hand first, John. Which one? Both? Okay. You're not already on one?
Aren't you on operational?
You're on operational.
So we can add you to capital planning?
I thought you said budget.
Yeah, sorry, I meant operational. How about?
So it's operational budget subcommittee
yeah.
and capital.
And capital planning. Would you like to?
I'll do the operational.
Okay.
I'm already on the capital, but if those meetings are gonna be together, I can do the operational then.
Okay, thank you. So we have
They're
now
together
those.
once. Is the intention for them to always be together?
They'll always be remote.
Great, so that was easy, thank you. We have those filled.
Thank you.
Do we have to vote on the budget priorities?
November.
It's up to the committee. If the committee feels like it's ready to vote, my recommendation is let them sit for a little bit more time and vote them in November.
Okay.
I think we have enough direction to enter the budget process and start preparing first drafts of the budgets.
Any other comment before moving on? So next up is policy development, none at this time. And the last item is, oh no, I'm wrong. Next up is public comment. Does anyone have anything they would like to add? We have no audience, but anyone on the committee like to make a comment? Oh, yes.
I'd just like to say that I attended the Titan Games, and I thought they were absolutely wonderful, and they were mentioned today at the meeting Kathleen and I went to this morning, which was the NSPAC. And it was wonderful to see the involvement of the high school kids. Some of the classes came out to cheer on, and especially when the students, they were in the stands cheering on. And it was great to see that when the athletes were coming in, when they were doing their first parade, I think it was some of the cheerleaders or something that were doing a tunnel and just clapping the kids on. And just the excitement from the kids in their faces was phenomenal. It really was. And it was a great event. And I think we learned today also that the Northborough DPW helped to erect those tents that they had that were on the other side by the scoreboard. So it was nice to see the communication, the collaboration between the two towns. So that was great. So it was a great event, and I hope to attend. This was like the second year they said they had it in the falls. The second year they have, usually it was in the spring, but now they did it
First
in the
year.
fall.
First
year in the fall,
First year in the
yeah.
fall.
The weather was, I will share your appreciation to the team that put that together. Really wonderful special education team, and teachers did a wonderful job, as did the athletes, but
They
I will
did.
share that
mean,
appreciation.
And the expressions on those kids' faces as they were running, and they didn't give up.
Yeah.
Someone
that's
who was
great.
gonna be third was still running as hard as the first place, and they were just fabulous. So thank everybody for putting
I
that
will
out
let them
together.
know.
That was great.
Okay, so next up is personnel, distribution of personnel report.
So it's a blue moon, no staff changes have been made by the superintendent of schools at this time. So it's a rare occurrence.
Okay, and next up is communications, the NEF grants.
So, I'm not sure if we reported it at last month's meeting, Joan, but NEF grants were awarded. So Joan actually spoke on behalf of the school committees of Northborough and the region and presented some of the grants. So Algonquin High School received, I believe, two grants?
No, I read off 4 for Algonquin.
4?
Yeah.
4 grants. So just want to thank NEF and its partnership and continued support of education in all 3 of our communities.
And it's wonderful to see the grants that come across. It's just absolutely wonderful because it's something that is over and above. The teachers come up with ideas from going to professional development, and the wording of these grants and what they're doing is just phenomenal. It really is. And I'd like to thank the Northborough Ed Foundation for going all the way up to the high school, and the teachers to going over and above again and writing the grants and hoping to get them to be supported is wonderful. And Greg spoke. He did the opening remarks.
Thank you. So approval of bills and payrolls, we don't have that. And lastly, our agenda items for next month's meeting are in your packet. Are there any other items that people would like to add at this point? Yes.
I had, since I attended the budget meeting from October 6th, one of the things that we said for the capital plan that we were going to vote by November 2025. So do we have to write that as an agenda item?
Yes, we'll make a
Vote
note.
On the
Yeah.
capital projects. And then this might be a future one. We talked about the boosters, having the boosters
Yes.
make a presentation.
Nothing else? Any other agenda items can be sent via email if things come up. So at this point, we are going to move into executive. Did I make a motion that we're going to move into executive session without reconvening? I'm having problems today. Without reconvening in regular session, open session.
And I can read the motion.
Yes.
So, executive session, exemption 3 to the open meeting law to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with Algonquin Regional Teachers Association as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares, and exemption 4 of the open meeting law to discuss the deployment of security personnel or devices or strategies with respect thereto, and not to reconvene in open session.
So moved.
I heard Paul, maybe? Sean? Okay, all in favor?
We need a roll call.
Roll call.
Okay,
Yes.
Sean, Paul,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Kathleen, John,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so that's unanimous.